Welcome to Real Estate of Mind, a Farming Group podcast. Good morning and welcome to Real Estate of Mind. I'm Andy Gutman. I have the honor and pleasure this morning of being here with three-term Mayor of Novi, the legendary Mayor Bob Gatt. Welcome to the show, Mayor.
Well, thank you, Andy. I don't know about legendary, but it's my pleasure to be here.
So, Mayor Gatt, obviously in your tenure both as a city councilman, even as a public servant before that, and as mayor for the last number of years, you've been involved in some of the most amazing accomplishments the city of Novi has seen. Just to name a few, you've improved the neighborhood roads. You're focused on safe and secure environment and have improved that dramatically. Novi was named, I want to say, not only one of the top 10 cities in which to live, but number 2. I think we were robbed. Should be number 1.
Should be number one.
Should be number 1. You've lowered tax rates twice at a time when that's not an easy thing to do, because you just don't have that ability, but you've been able to do that for the citizens.
And may I add, we lowered tax rates twice without cutting city services. In fact, we've improved city services during that time period.
That's an amazing thing. How many cities can actually say that?
I don't think any of them.
Yeah. Most have raised, during the downturn, most raised rate, they lost services, they had to cut.
They've had to.
You balanced the budget, you improved all of the services that Novi has.
Yeah, Andy, Novi's a great city. Anybody who knows me knows that my standard saying is Novi is the greatest city in Michigan, maybe the whole USA, and it is. I say that because I believe it. We were robbed at number 2. We should have been number 1. They didn't explore Novi well enough. Novi is a unique place to live, Andy. We number one, it's safe. I believe that a safe city is the most important. You can have the best parks, you can have the best everything, but if you're not safe in your environment, you're not gonna want to live there. So Novi has the best police and fire departments anywhere that can be found. We have the most beautiful parks. We're expanding our parks. Anybody who's been to Novi in the last couple of years, they see a new park that appeared on the shores of Walled Lake. 3/4 of Walled Lake is in the city of Novi. We built a brand new, beautiful park up on the south shore called Pavilion Shore Park. We just opened a new part of that park where we built bathroom facilities, and it looks like the old casino that was there back in the 30s and 40s that people used to swing dance to up there with all the great musicians that would come to Novi. We also have Lakeshore Park just down the street that's filled with over 100 acres of property where you can play, where you can recreate, where you can barbecue and ride your bikes. And so Novi's got the parks, Novi's got the safety. Novi's schools are second to none. Novi's schools always put out the very best of the best. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who everybody's heard of, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, he is a graduate of the Novi High School. So when I say Novi is great, it's great for a number of reasons. We can lower your taxes twice, increase your services at the same time, and still provide all these services that other cities only wish for.
It's pretty amazing as mayor. You're not only a great leader for the city of Novi, which is in and of itself a statement about how Novi continues to grow and be a great world-class city, but you're also its best cheerleader that I've ever seen. There's people who love their cities, but when I hear you talk about Novi like you have, that love comes through, the true affection you have for it. This is not a political position for you. This is community service, and it's what you've done your entire life, which is pretty amazing.
Well, this is true, Andy, and let me just say, those of you who don't know me, I started off with the city of Novi back in the mid-'70s as a police officer, and that's where my love for the city was honed. And for the next 27 years of my life, I spent serving the citizens of Novi. I'm not a politician. I don't even like politics, to be honest with you. I consider myself a public servant, as you just said. So when my career at the police department ended, my love affair with Novi didn't end. In fact, it just began, because now I wanted to serve in a different capacity. So I retired in 2002. In 2003, I ran for city council and was elected. And it was on the council table starting in 2003 where I saw Novi in a different perspective. Rather than an employee, now I was up in the management part of it. And I said to myself, how can I make Novi better? I wake up every day thinking, how can I make Novi a better place? Well, my background in the police department obviously led me to the safety aspect of the city because, as I said earlier, if your city isn't safe, it's not going to be a great city. So right around 2004 or 5, in my first term as council, I introduced the notion of police cadets. We hadn't had that. And for 27 years, I can tell you that when an arrest was made, the police officer tied themselves up for hours, booking the prisoner, taking photographs, fingerprints, where other bigger cities had cadets. And so I introduced that to council. It was picked up. And today, Novi has a cadet program second to none. And so when the police officer is done making their arrest, the cadet takes over and does all the work that takes so much time. Now, it also does something else. It gives the police chief a farming system because these cadets, we get to see them firsthand. We get to see how they interact with people, with the public, with the prisoners. We get to see their work ethic. And those that are great, because you have to be great to be a Novi police officer, those that are great are chosen to be police officers. So one of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of is this cadet program that is now serving the citizens so well and certainly serving the police department. But just so everybody knows, it's not just police that I'm interested in. I'm also a big proponent of making the city great in other ways. Just about a year ago, I introduced at the table a single hauler trash system, which has nothing to do with police. We used to have 4, 5, 6 different garbage hauling companies coming into Novi. So your streets would have these big trucks, being driven on every day by different trash haulers because one neighbor had this company, another neighbor had that company. So I pushed it and the city council agreed, and we now have a single hauler trash company in Novi. Everybody's rates went down. We have one company that driving the streets, so our streets are not getting beaten down as much as they used to be. Everybody's happy and everybody's saving money. So to me, it's a win-win-win. And that's the kind of things that makes Novi great. It's that kind of thinking that keeps us ahead of the pack and keeps us getting better every day.
And that's the kind of thoughtful leadership I think every community needs. You saw an issue, a problem that needed to be corrected, and you found a solution that it wasn't just about saving money, but you did. It wasn't just about making sure the roads weren't overburdened, but you fixed that. That's a very thoughtful, holistic 360-degree view of a concern that you solved. Amazing.
I promise everybody listening, I truly wake up every day thinking, what can I do for Novi today? How can we make it better? And so these are just some of the ways that I've done it over the past few years.
That's great. Mayor Gatt, I'd like to touch on a subject that's near and dear to our listeners, which obviously is development, the business community. What we've understood is that there's about $100 million of new development going on in the city of Novi.
Going on right now.
That's amazing.
And there's a lot more in the pike, as a matter of fact. Economic development, to me, is one of the most important factors in making Novi great. We are home to over 17 different foreign national company headquarters right here in Novi. Germany, Japan, Belgium. We have some coming in from Korea. All over the globe, people are choosing Novi. Now, what makes Novi so great? Well, it's the things I talked about earlier. Why do the companies want to come to Novi? It's because of our schools. It's because of our safety. It's because of the amenities that the city has to offer. But Andy, make no mistake, these companies have choices. And today, when we talk about an economic development, we talk about a global economy. These companies coming abroad from overseas, they could go to Indiana. They could go to Illinois. They could go to Canada, Ontario. They could go to anywhere that they want to go, but they come to Novi because of its greatness. However, everybody is competing. And today's competition, the toolbox includes something that people don't like to talk about at the council table sometimes, but it's called tax abatements. Now, tax abatement is a tool that really has just hit the market in the last decade or so. Prior to 10 years ago, tax abatements weren't part of the toolbox. What brought companies to certain areas was the highways and the schools and everything I just said. But today, it's a fact of life that the companies want tax abatements. Now, I'm a big proponent in playing the game to a point. And City of Novi has offered tax abatements to these big companies to come because, unlike my opponents who are against tax abatements, they think it's a lose-lose. They call it a form of corporate welfare. They think that people are being cheated. I don't see it that way. Here's what I see, Andy. We have a piece of property that's getting zero tax dollar revenue to the city.
Right.
And now a company wants to come in and build maybe a 70, 80, $100 million investment, and they're asking for the ability to pay half tax for a certain amount of years, 7 years, 10 years at the longest. To me, getting half of something is better than getting nothing of nothing.
Right.
Now, that's just math to me. Also, when these companies come, they bring hundreds of employees with them. Now, the employees buy homes in the community.
Right.
They shop in our stores. They eat in our restaurants. They buy cars from our dealerships. So it's an economic boom to the community, and it doesn't cost the city of Novi a nickel. Now, again, some of the naysayers of tax abatements think, well, you're giving them something for nothing. I say no. I say we're giving them something for half of what we should be getting, but only for a certain period of time. And then they pay 100%, and everybody makes out well. And Novi continues to grow, and Novi continues to attract bigger and better businesses, and it becomes a destination place for the businesses. Everybody knows that, well, if Harmon is here and Daifuku is here and other companies are here, well, they're going to come too because these other companies have seen something great and they want to be part of the greatness. So I'm really proud of the economic development in this city. It's nonstop. We've got about 100 million on the books right now. We have another 50 million that I know of that are contemplating coming here, and it's just a matter of time before everybody in the world wants to live in Novi, and that's okay. I say, come on in.
You hit that really well. It's amazing. People don't always understand tax abatements, and you hit that really well because the value to the community is exponential as long as there's a good and fair process to it that doesn't give away the dollars. And,
exactly.
And it sounds like you've got one in place that makes sure that those are done appropriately, but growing the community exponentially. It's not just the taxes you get from that development. It is the homes that sell. It's the people eating at the restaurants, using the other businesses in the city.
Exactly.
You can't come up with the exact mathematical equation that tells you how much that is, but what a valuable tool. And it brings that to a city that was getting no value, like you said, from those parcels of land or a vacant development. Now it's bringing in money.
It's bringing in money, and also, Andy, it's a magnet. When one company comes, another company sees, hey, well, they're there, they know, and those people talk to the companies that are here, and it's just an attraction. It just brings more and bigger and better businesses to town. It's a tool, and everybody has that tool in their toolbox, and if you don't want to use it, then, as I said, the companies have choices. They don't have to come here.
I want to touch on something from a real estate company's perspective, the city of Novi's perception in the real estate community, because I know decades ago the perception was not a positive one to do business in the city of Novi. It was a long time to get permits, a long time to go through the process.
Yeah.
And when I talk to other developers, other real estate companies, even our own experience in the city, it's amazing the turnaround that's happened under your leadership. And that's a statement because the process should be simple. Not everyone gets what they want.
No.
Because that wouldn't be fair to the community. But if it's within the ordinances, if it's within the guidelines, then the process should be a simple one. And I give you and our city manager a lot of praise for that.
Well, thank you, Andy. And it is a pet peeve of mine. It used to be that Novi had this reputation of being a very difficult place to do business. I've heard it from builders, I've heard it from developers, I've heard it from almost everybody who wanted to do business in Novi. And you know what? They were right. Novi was a difficult place to do business. But 3 years ago, we, the city council, I went out and recruited a guy named Pete Auger, who's our city manager. And Pete comes from Auburn Hills, which is, if you know the area, it's a booming area itself. Right. So Pete comes from Farmington Hills, and before he came on board, I had dinner with him, and we talked about philosophy, and we talked about economic development, and we talked about red tape, and we talked about all the obstacles that keep businesses out of Novi or keep businesses from coming here. Well, we were on the same court. We want to make it as easy as possible, but like you said, without relaxing the demands of the community. We want to make it a great community. We want to keep it a great community, and you can't do that if you just let down all the guards. But we want to make it. For businessmen like yourself and the people listening, time is money. We know that. And it used to be where you might present a plan to the City of Novi Planning Department, and it might be months and months and months before you hear back from them before they've opened it. Well, what we want to do now is make it like a 14-day process, which is pretty fast in the business world. Fast. And Pete is making that happen. Now, it's a culture that we are trying to change. Some of the staff members say, well, oh no, we have to go slow. We have to do this. We have to do that. No, you don't. Right. Now, we've also given our staff better tools. We've given them better and more modern equipment in the last couple of years. We've spent almost $500,000 on our planning department, revamping the whole place, buying them the biggest and the best and the most modern equipment so that they can take these plans and turn them around quickly. We believe time is money. We want to save the business community money, but we want your business. Absolutely. And so we're trying to change that reputation. And I believe in the last few years, we've done so. And so any of the people out there listening, if you haven't done business in Novi because of our past reputation, give us a try. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely. And I do think that is the perception under your leadership, is that's changed. And that wasn't it took some time for the change had occurred already, but it takes time for perception to catch up.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
And I think world-class hires like Pete Auger really show a statement about the investment in the community and the caring for it, because he really came with a great reputation, and that says a whole lot about the people who did the hiring. Kudos to you on that, because he comes with a lot of credibility.
He does. He does.
And so, great.
He's very valuable commodity to the city of Novi.
Yes. I hope I'm not costing you a raise.
Well, we already gave him a raise last week,
okay.
So he can't ask for another one.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you again for being a part of the show. We really do appreciate your time. We know it's valuable, and you're a busy, busy man. But any last words that you'd like to say to our listeners?
Well, Annie, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank the listeners for listening. The only thing I might want to say is this. If my passion for the city and my love for the city has come across, good, because I love Novi. I truly love the city. For 27 years, I wrote a blank check up to and including my life, and luckily that never was cashed. But now that I'm the mayor of the city, I see how great we are. I can see into the future a little bit, and we can even become greater. So for that, I want to stick around for at least one more term. The election's in November. Any of your listeners that live in Novi or have friends or relatives in Novi, I would appreciate your support, either on November 7th or by absentee ballot, because I want to stay the mayor, because I'm not done with my job yet.
Well, we can't imagine a city of Novi without you. It truly would not be the same. If people want to reach out and participate with you, volunteer to help you with your campaign, how can they do that? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I have a website, bob@bobgatt.com. That's bob@bobgatt.com. And on that website, you can find out everything you want to know about me. You can help me by contributing, or you can help me by volunteering, or you can just help me by supporting me by telling other people about me.
Thank you, Mayor Gatt. This is Andy Gutman with Mayor Bob Gatt for Real Estate of Mind. Thank you for listening. Join us next time for another wonderful edition of Real Estate of Mind, a Farbman Group podcast.